Hello, trumpet players. Whew, we're getting to the end of this 2 weeks of master classes. I don't know how many of these videos I'm going to actually publish. I haven't actually published any of them. I've been so busy. It takes a while to publish from the phone, so it takes a little bit longer than when I'm doing it from the computer. So it's been, I didn't do this Wednesday, I didn't do the previous Wednesday. That means, depending on how many of these I choose to publish, there will be like weeks and weeks and weeks of these unless I decide to do them other than Wednesday. Anyway, I had something figured out I was going to talk to you about, and now it slipped my mind. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so I want to tell you a story about when I died. Right? That sounds like clickbait. It's not clickbait. Okay? We are multidimensional beings, right? So in the Bible, they talk about the triune being. You have body, soul, and spirit, right? But you can also go farther than that. Not just body, soul, and spirit, but you can also say that you have a financial being, right? You can also say that's how I've always seen it. Maybe the theologians will tell me that I'm wrong, but that's how I've always seen it. We have different parts of who we are, right? And body, soul, and spirit is a big part of that. And maybe these separate beings that I'm talking about can be allocated to one of those three. Like maybe the financial being can be allocated to the soul, if you go according to the biblical definition of soul. But no, I don't look at it that way. Or maybe the body, I don't know. So, but yes, I do believe that we are different people, right? So when I say I died, I'm not talking about my body, I'm not talking about my soul, I'm not talking about my spirit. The part of me that died was the trumpet player part. The trumpet player in me died in 2004. And what came out of that is something much, much better. There was a I don't want to say trauma. That's a little bit over the top. But there was something in my life that didn't go so well. I'm not going to give you details, but it wrecked my life, right? And out of the ashes, the life that came out of that didn't have a trumpet player in it. And what do I mean by that, right? What do I mean by that? You know, as a trumpet player, we regard something as good or bad based on how hard it is to play, right? A song would be good or bad based on how hard it is to play. A trumpet player will be considered good or bad based on how hard the music is that they have to play. If it goes fast, if it goes high, if it's loud, if it's got tricky this and tricky that, right? We all tend to judge the value of something musically according to how difficult it is. And that's the part of me that died, right? I had that before this event happened. And then after that, so, you know, that it's weird because what happened after this, it took me less time to recover from this than most people. That doesn't mean that I wasn't hurt. Does that make sense? Of course I was hurt. Okay? And in fact, in some ways, the hurt of it. Remember, we're multiple people in one, right? Multiple beings in one. So in some way, the hurt of it just, of course, never went away, which is normal. Okay? And so what am I saying? I'm just watching all these people. Okay, so that's what I was saying, is that after this happened, I was trying to practice. And the stuff I was practicing, musical stuff, the rudiments, I've been doing my same rudiments all this time. No problem with that stuff, okay? But the music I was trying to play, and in fact the music I was trying to listen to, I tried to keep on business as usual, right? I tried to keep going business as usual. Because that's what you do when there's tragedy, right? And some of it repulsed me, like out of the blue, right? The stuff I've been listening to and practicing almost my whole life. And now all of a sudden, I couldn't stomach it anymore. And when that happened, I tried to find, because it wasn't consistent. It wasn't jazz that I couldn't stomach anymore. It was just some jazz that I couldn't stomach. It wasn't classical that I couldn't stomach anymore. It was just some classical that I couldn't stomach, right? It wasn't rock, just some rock. It wasn't any of the different styles that I play for a living, salsa, just some salsa. So what was the common denominator? What was it that brought all these things together? And I thought, being the kind of person that I am, I wanted to know. What was making me not be able to stomach certain kinds of music? And I figured it out. And it had to do with expressionless music. It had to do with pointless music. If it was pointless, if the music really didn't have something to say and it was just a puking of notes, I couldn't listen to it anymore, because it would trigger this like, I don't want to call it anxiety, but it was a horrible lack of peace. I know that makes me sound like a new ager, but I don't know what else to call it. It was unbearable. What's the opposite of peace? Almost turmoil. It was just to listen to some of that stuff I used to say I loved to listen to. But you know what happens sometimes is you love to listen to it because that puts you in that upper circle, right? Oh, I listen to this and I listen to that, and it's like, wow, you must really know your music, right? And that's why I say the trumpet player in me died. And what was left in its place was just music. And the best music isn't impressive. It can be, but let's put it the other way around. Let's voice it the other way around. The most impressive music isn't very musical. And I had to have a trauma in my life before I could start recognizing that. And at this point in my career, someone else send me a video and say, wow, listen to that. And it'll be some amazing technical stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's some technical stuff out there, like Woody Shaw, right? Woody Shaw is tremendously technical, his recordings, right? But there's still this musical thing so when I listen to Woody Shaw, I'm not going to tell you who repulsed me or which recordings repulsed me. That I'm not going to do that. That's not right. But I will tell you who I listened to that didn't have that actually made a connection to my heart, or whatever you want to call it. And Woody Shaw is one of those. Freddie Hubbard was one of those that played music that really connected with me, even on an emotional level, even though he plays very technically, right? So it's not this shallow, because there are very shallow people out there who are anti-technique. Don't put me in that camp. I don't belong in that camp. Okay, I'm not anti-technique, and you can hear that in my own playing. Okay, I use a lot of technique in my playing. It might not be the technique some people appreciate, but, and I mean some people, there's a lot of people that like the technical stuff that I do. But here's the thing, is the technical stuff I do today isn't for its own sake. I am actually truly expressing myself when I do that. It's real. And that realness, that genuineness in my music that comes out when I'm playing that stuff is because of this tragedy that I went through. If it wasn't for that, this repulsion period that I went through, I can listen to this stuff now that was repulsing me during that time. I can listen to it now, but I have no interest in it anymore. It doesn't repulse me anymore, but now I can see that something's not connecting. And maybe for some people, stuff will connect. And I have no doubt that there are some people that connect to more, for lack of a better word, evil stuff. Because there are evil people. So I'm sure there's people out there that respond a lot better to music that expresses, and this is, what do I mean by evil music? Music that expresses anger, music that expresses hatred, music that expresses bitterness. There is music like that out there. In fact, I would say that a lot of music out there is like that. Okay? That stuff doesn't appeal to me. And so yes, that would, maybe I said all of this the wrong way earlier, because I said that there was no music in it, but that's certainly the case sometimes. But there's also the case of where sometimes the music would just be repulsive because the message itself is repulsive. You go through a trauma where someone has betrayed you. You were loyal and someone has betrayed you, and then you hear music that expresses the kind of personality that would betray you again, and there's absolutely no desire to be part of that whatsoever. I hope that makes sense. That kind of betrayal is rooted in social ills. I'm going to say that again. that kind of betrayal is rooted in social ills, things that are acceptable today that should have never become acceptable. And to listen to music that promotes that kind of attitude even more, of course you're not going to be okay with that. And I think that's what was happening on a subconscious level. I was recognizing that that music. So, and you know what? When you listen to my compositions, since, I just posted some today, which means when you get this, it will have been weeks ago. Look for my Hopewell Suite. I just posted the score videos of Hopewell Suite over the last couple days. Go listen to those videos and listen to the love that's in that music. If you can't hear love in that music, you're probably being too much of a trumpet player. Get the trumpet player out of your head and listen with your musical ears, not with your trumpet ears. There's nice trumpet stuff in there too, but listen to the composition. That's love that you're hearing in that composition. So part of what came out of this trauma is that my compositions became more love-centered. They were already love-centered to begin with. This turned the volume on the love stuff up a few different notches, all right? Okay? But yes, and so the message here is not me sharing my life with you. The message here is the trumpet player part of you that likes the high notes and the fast notes and all that stuff. That's all superficial. And I would like to get you to try to look past that and actually start understanding the power of real music. Not just showmanship, not just technique, not just... and I'm going to stress one more time just because it needs to be said, I am not anti-technique, okay? I've never been anti-technique. I've never been the most technical player in the world either. For that matter, I've been the most technical player amongst certain groups of people, but you could never have said that I was one of the most technical players in the state or in the country or in the world. You could never, that was never ever the case. I have technical things that I can do that other people can't do, but as an overall thing, no, I'm not more technical, okay? But I'm not anti-technique. I think what happens with these anti-technique people, and this should be a whole video by itself, if you try to shun technique, these people know who they are. They don't practice technical stuff because they don't want it to affect their playing, right? They don't want to sound technical, so they shun the technical stuff. And what ends up happening is it reveals all of their technical deficiencies. So by the very act of trying not to be technical, they end up sounding technical. That's one of life's huge ironies, right? The reason why we practice technical stuff is so we do not sound technical. It's like, I worked on Carnival Venice late as an adult already. I didn't practice it when I was a kid. And I was using as my sound model the Gerard Schwartz recordings, right? But I never tried to play along with Gerard Schwartz. I just listened to it, and I'm practicing all that time. And then I try to play it with the recording, and there's no way I can get anywhere close to the speed that he's playing that stuff at. No way. I would have to, oh no, and that's after 2 years of practicing the piece. So no, I'm not the most technical player. Okay, so the reason I brought that up is because I couldn't hear that he was playing it so fast when I was listening to it, right? Getting hot in here. I better wrap this up. But yes, I couldn't hear how fast he was playing because he was playing it so elegantly. It didn't sound fast. And you don't get that from not practicing technical music. Practicing technique, right? You don't get to where it sounds elegant no matter how fast it is by not practicing technical stuff. So that's just dumb. I'm not one of those anti-technique people. Okay? So don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm saying that trumpet just for trumpet's sake is stupid. We listen to other trumpet players judging them as trumpet players, when what we should be doing is listening to the music that they produce. Hear the music that comes out. And if the music is offensive, you don't have to listen to it. I don't care how famous they are. If it's offensive, don't listen to it. If it's meaningless, you don't have to listen to it. That's where I am in my life today. I'll check everybody out. Someone tells me, oh, there's this new trumpet player, I check it out. Now, we live in a time now where you can just go on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, you check them out, right? And I check them all out. Some of them move me. It's surprising who does move me and who doesn't sometimes. Some of them move me, some of them repulse me, and some of them leave me cold. And I'm sure that's a highly personal thing, but all of this started happening for me when that trauma hit, and I had to step back and say, why is some of this music making it worse? Why is some of this music making me feel worse and not better? And the answer to that problem ended up leading to the death of the trumpet player that I used to be. Okay? Well, I better get inside. I'm burning up. All right, so God bless you guys. Be thinking about that. Be thinking about the trumpet player versus the musician that's inside of you, okay? All right, take it easy. Thank you for hanging out. God bless you.